those stats for you in a second, because on the other side, you were just mentioning Senna, something that LPL teams, Dagda, have moved away from a little bit. And it's interesting because we're not in 12-12 yet, where a couple of nerfs come across, adjustments, you could say, for the Senna players. Instead, you know, Betty and Chocho are going to just come back in and finally give us another look at what was one of the strongest picks down in the bottom lane in the past 2 patches.
And I think it works really well here as well for anyone's legend, because Chocho can then go towards something like the Seraphine. Now Forge, if he ends up picking up the Swain, that is still up and available as well, you end up with a very, very strong front-to-back team fight, especially with the Zinzao getting all that healing as well. And it actually becomes very difficult for Weibo Gaming to try and break that. So I imagine we'll probably see like something like the Kalista here coming through regardless. For Huanfeng, I think it'd still do relatively well against the Senna, but looks like Angel might just go for the blind pick Sylas, kind of aware that that is something Forge likes to play and something that a Seraphine Senna lane enables so well.
And we know that Forge has been someone who has hovered around like some of these global mids too. Swain being his most played, but things like the Ryze, the Corki, the Talia has also come through, so maybe a response here. As you already mentioned it, the Tahm Kench comes in. Dagda, before we get to the second bet, what would you like to say? The floor's you.
It's gone. I was going to say, this could actually be a Castellan play. Castellan does really well into the Sylas, and I was like, a Senna, the healing from that, plus you've got like the ability to try and like play towards that late game with the Senna already in the mix. Could have been the option, but not going to be the case. It is going to be the Tahm Kench, which honestly, I'm kind of disappointed in. I would have liked to see Forge kind of take a champion here regardless, because I think there's so many better options that you could have gone for paired with the Senna. And even traditionally, we're seeing teams go, okay, well, we're actually going to leave our support pick alongside the Senna to later in the draft to see if we can maybe get away with an Enchanter support, depending on what the opposition has picked.
That's a good point, actually. And now I need to return to what I was going to say. Dagda, SofM before, he said the Viego stats are real. That's all he plays. Now, out of the 19 games that SofM has played in the LPL, 12 of them have been Viego. Now we're at number 20, and 13 is the magic number. I just had to drop this in there. It's been nagging me for so long because SofM is just hilarious, man, in many different ways. But I'll digress.
He had 10 games of Viego, right? Like, just, that was it. Like, he had no other champion played for ages. Then eventually the streak was broken, which I just think is absolutely hilarious. But we'll come back into this. Kalista, Ezreal banned away. Again, Kalista just incredibly strong at the moment, so I am curious to see what Huanfeng wants to go for in response to the Senna here, because you're looking at Kalista, Ezreal, Zeri, Lucian, all taken off the board. I mean, Kai'Sa's kind of been the other champion that we've seen a little bit of there, but I don't know if that fully works out. Maybe you honestly end up with something like a Twitch Yuumi, which could work out here for Weibo. Maybe that is the game plan, actually. Maybe it is a Twitch Yuumi.
Do you want Draven, Dagda? What do you think? Against Tahm, not the most favorable, but it is something that Huanfeng has brought over from his IG days.
See, so what I'm thinking here is, like, you have Senna Tahm Kench, pretty atrocious at actually trying to play aggressive into you. So I think things like Cog Lulu, Twitch Yuumi, these kind of combinations that we see a lot become a lot more potent. Even things like a Jinx, if you want to fall back towards that you just play for the late game scaling. But I will say, just from Weibo's composition as a whole, they are more mid game focused with the Sylas and with the Gnar, so maybe they don't want to go towards that, but I still think a Twitch could work really well. Yeah. I mean, maybe you do just go Draven, honestly. Maybe you're right. Maybe you just want to hack and slash your way through this.
Or maybe you want to set yourself up with the Rakan lane. I mean, right now, Huanfeng, the world is oyster. I feel like if there's any AD carry that can pull out something that we're not expecting, it's him, right? You pulled out so many good ADs yourself, Dagda, and Huanfeng still has that magic spark. If we count the time down, it is going to be the Jhin, which, to be fair, in this day and age, is a very rare pick. So there you go.
As I'm about to say, it's like the only pick I actually don't want to see like, out of everything that he hovered, because I feel like you still need a good damage or consistent damage source in team fights. Like, Sylas is good at that single target and very quickly picking one member off. He even has access to some good ultimates with the likes of the Ryze here to start moving around the map, but you don't have that big consistent damage dealer here for Weibo. And that's where I think they're going to start to fall off. That's why I was looking at something like a Twitch, the Jinx, a Felios even I didn't mind. Just something that would have given you that consistent damage in fights. Jhin just doesn't really offer that. He will enable Weibo's team fight a lot more for like the Sylas, Viego, the Gnar to close the gap, but he's not really going to bring a lot to the table in terms of actually carrying these fights.
But on the other side, for anyone's legend, if you're saying that Weibo Gaming, there's the element of falling off, there's the element of this mid-game, anyone's legend, I see Ryze, I see Senna, Dagda, a Jax as well in the side lane. It feels like this team, if they get going or if they get their controlled game, we're going to get to an anyone's legend favored late game.
I agree. I think you've got the Senna who's going to work out wonders there. Jax in the side lane is going to be able to do great. Especially once you get to the Divine Sunder and Jax, he starts to take over in that Gnar matchup, just having a ton of upfront burst damage that can come through with the leap strike. So I imagine in these early stages, we're going to see a lot of pressure from Xiaohao towards that top side, kind of like we were expecting with our featured matchup between TheShy and ZDZ. And I think from that perspective then, especially if you've got a Ryze in the mix too, you actually get a little bit nervous here as Weibo. Because honestly, I don't really see a lot of wiggle room or a lot of plays that the Ryze can make here for Angel. Like playing down towards bot side doesn't really work out. You have the Rakan kind of to help set you up to a certain extent, I suppose. But trying to play up towards the top side, I don't feel like it's going to work out too well either. So I'm trying to figure out how Angel can kind of have these impacts in the early stages. I'm just not quite seeing those routes right now.
Well, you've got doubts, Dagda, and that's fair. As we saw in the last series, your doubts became a reality, but hopefully we get a little bit more out of this one. Weibo Gaming versus anyone's legend. They're closely knit within the LPL standings right now. And this one we're hoping going to be a little bit more exciting than what we got out of the first series, because Dagda, if it's not, we're going to bed in about an hour, or at least I am.
Yeah, I can go for a nap, you know.
Oh,
it's been a bit of an early morning for me.
Yeah. Europe times are more productive to be an LPL caster, I'll tell you that.
That's why you got to come over this way. Come live with us. Join us.
I came to Ireland and it took 20 hours. No, wait, 24 hours. Flying to your country is losing a day. Well, actually, you get it back because of time difference, but you don't really, because jet lag was just so much fun.
Well, look, you need to talk to the Australian government, tell them to stick a couple of propellers on the East Coast, get them to just zoom Australia that bit closer to everyone. Because I'm not going to lie,
Nice.
I can't really fix your geography right now. Man.
Dude.
You're on a bit of your own way out there.
You know, when it was Pangea or whatever it was called, I just wish Australia did a bit more, a bit more roaming. If we put in League of Legends terminology, I feel like they had a stagnant laning phase and Australia just decided that it was going to keep farming. And now here we are. We've been farming for like 30 million years or however long. And we're so isolated from everything. All we got is New Zealand. And that's like, how USA has Canada. It's, I don't know. People are going to take offense from that. But honestly, it's
at least they have hobbits,
True.
They got some...
New Zealand is better,
yeah, I will say, I like the way we just kind of went, hey, anything that could be really, really dangerous and kill us all, we're going to stick on this tiny little island. We're just going to push it over that way. Like, let's leave them all over that way. And then you guys were like, hey, we don't really want to be here. We're sent over here as prisoners, but this is ours now. This is where we are. This is it. This is our home.
Dangerous things include the convicts, by the way, which is us.
Yeah.
But I'll take stock of the game for you, because as we've been 2.5 minutes here just watching the trades up on the top side, both junglers are pathing up here as well. And Dagda, when we were setting up our stories for today, even though like bot was a part of our interest, I think we landed on top with the most solo deaths in the league. TheShy is number 1, and ZDZ is closely behind at number 4. We know that there is going to be a lot of blood with or without junglers.
Ooh, Xiaohao actually looking for an evade here off the push and top side. SofM
Smite comes down.
Yeah, we'll smite it away, but I mean, Xiaohao still wins on the 1v1 against the Viego early, so if you can actually get the help from ZDZ, could be good, but on roaming.
Yeah, okay, well, this is early. You already talked about the Rakan here, but Angel's really low. As he walks back into Forge, forces the flash, and Xiaohao already committed over with the audacious charge on the Scuttles, so engage is down, response is down, and anyone's legend start off with a bit of a negative here, Dagda, with Forge losing his summoner.
Just a really nice way for Weibo to play this early game. They push in on bot side, quickly reset, so Huanfeng is actually able to get into lane. It's just a third wave crash. Second wave crash, which usually does mean you're going to fall a little bit behind in CS, but because you're up against the Senna and Tahm Kench, you can actually get away with this. So ends up backing, gets the cull, opens up on to go for the roam. So just really nice play from Weibo, kind of playing around timings on this bottom side. And now that the flash has gone from Forge, well, you can actually look for proper repeat ganks in that mid lane between Angel and SofM.
It's going to be a pain before we get to level 6 for the Ryze. I know you talked a little bit about what Angel's response could be, but let's also talk a little bit about what Forges could be, because Angel getting the Realm Warp, the ability to match in this game, Dagda, I think is an important topic.
Yeah, I feel like Forge is going to be playing a lot towards this top side with the Realm Warp. And my worry for Weibo is that they don't win out on the 3v3 in top. You have just more CC, more knockup, the ability to burst like one person down very easily. And I think from that perspective, Weibo are going to struggle if they try and match that play in top side. So I feel like maybe we actually get Angel trying to play down towards the bottom end of the map. And with the lockup from On, the potential Deadly Flourish from Huanfeng as well, and even the CC Angel brings, maybe you've just got enough CC lockup that you can actually kill QiuQiu even if he is tanky on the Tahm Kench.
There's actually a lot of CC on it on Weibo Gaming side. All 5 members pack a bit of a punch in that aspect. And I'm glad we kind of talked about it from the AD's perspective as well, because this is what we remember from the time Suning went to Worlds, Dagda. Remember, 2020, Suning relied on this pick from Huanfeng. It was one of his best, with the Chinese sniper coming through, and once again, he's layered down everything. Betty is igniting down to his death as Huanfeng's run out of ammo, but meanwhile, SofM's been caught with his pants down. The smite comes through, and the belt tied back up. But how quickly can he put his shoes on here? Because SofM with the blast cone is still getting chased around, and luckily he will get away without having to burn the flash.
The fact that SofM got away with that is kind of hilarious to me.
Yeah.
You like moves in, steals the Scuttle Crab right out from underneath their nose. And because QiuQiu was busy dealing with Weibo Gaming aggression on the bot side, he's able to cut off the escape. So just about SofM able to steal this one away.
We're watching the replay in the bottom right. And yeah, just the W, and he ran for his life. So well played, all things considered, as our early game has met with a couple of little trades here and there, Dagda, but no kill, no first blood. But at 6 minutes into the game, note that Angel and Forge now have their ultimates available. And so we're going to see a bit more map movement as Xiaohao trying to chase his 6 as well. SofM trying to do the same thing. We're 2 minutes away from the Herald, and the next couple of minutes feel like they're going to define a lot.
Oh, SofM going to literally run into Forge.
Define a lot. That's what I said. He's rooted down, abscond, abduct, and Forge with the ulti out. Stolen Realm Warp as he dies. Angel now has the ult and the pride after first blood goes to SofM.
That's just a great read from SofM. Knew that Forge was going to be playing up towards that top side. We already talked about it. Probably going to see Xiaohao on this top end. So SofM goes, right, I'm going to interrupt this movement as they start to go up. And they pick off perfectly there. Angel as well, as you said, stealing away the ultimate does actually give you another proc of your passive. So that extra little bit of damage finishes Forge before he can actually escape.
I think Realm Warp was already used there as well. So Angel going to be on a bit of a cooldown, but still getting the assist in the mid lane. Darksteel stack number 1-2. We'll look at the replay again, because Mr. Dagda, as you said, SofM, a really smart gank.
Yeah, fantastic read. And I think this is why, like, SofM can be very frustrating to watch, because he has some great plays like this. He has great reads, and sometimes you're just like, what the hell are you doing? But really, really good understanding from SofM there, showing why often people do look at him as one of the best junglers that we have in the LPL. And TheShy now going up against CDZ.
He's ulti back. CDZ still has Sleep Strike, so he's out of there. But good trades for the 10 CS up on this top lane. But you're right, you know, SofM has brilliant moments, as you were saying. He's now level 6 as well, Dagda. And remember that Forge, his flash was burnt earlier, but as On now treasures around, or that's not English, let's try again. Treads around mid. Forge has his flash up once again, so this guy continues to be bullied and isn't really having a great start to the game on this Ryze when he hasn't got to play much of the laning phase.
And this is a much more confident play coming through from Weibo. All 5 members up here now for the Rift Herald. You've got SofM who's moving over to get Scuttle to give themselves full control of the speed buff in the river. So Weibo setting up nicely here. Only thing you got to be worried about is how strong Xiaohao is in these moments, if he can get a good engage.
But Angel's stolen away the ultimate here from Xiaohao. The problem is it's going to be a tit for tat here, but Weibo Gaming, they've forced them off, and as Herald goes down now for a bit of a response to the mid lane, just giving Huanfeng a bit of priority, a bit of space as we continue to look to the top side. Nothing's going to happen for now, but at the very least, Dagda. Herald goes down. That's a win for Weibo Gaming, and their early game looking mighty controlled, if I do say so myself.
Yeah, TheShy having full priority in this top side made it a lot easier for Weibo to just start thumbing up. And I mean, this is good stuff from Weibo. Angel now looking for the all-in.
As quickness comes through, the engage from On, but it's under turret. Angel can't do much more here. As he re-engages on top of Forge, the ulti finally comes through, but Forge will survive this one. At the very least, so they got his flash Dagda, and I have to say, once again, Forge will not have that summoner for much of this game, it seems.
Huanfeng, though, going to lose out on at least a turret. Oh, I was going to say potentially turret blade here, but looks like they're just going to go over towards the dragon instead. On will meet the anyone's legend bot lane, but they'll just wave at each other and move on.
A blind date, Dagda, and sometimes they don't go too well, so after they kind of say goodbye, we're going to see if a second date comes through. Dragon's going to go down.
So what you're saying is that On got catfished?
Yeah, On did. Oh, okay, all right. I'll walk into that one.
I'll see myself out. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much. We will not meet again for a good reason. You know, people have lived with freaks puns over in the LCS for many different years. I expected better from you, sir. I expected so much better. And
you know me. I'm not better than this.
Actually, that's true. And to be fair, I am a hypocrite. I'm pretty bad myself, so it's just these moments where I stand tall and I go, you naughty man, and I'll do it.
You point to give shame, but you give a cheeky wink because you know that realistically you'd be right there.
It's me, and my children will be the same as well. I'm just projecting. Oh, man, it's a 1K gold lead. 10 minutes into the game, and it's been a bit of a slow one, folks. Won't lie to you, but hey, the thing is that I want to come back to a point you said earlier, and a point that's really been standing out for me. As On is mid again, as Forge pushes out, this support has been bullying around mid, and you've been talking about On being so switched on. No pun intended, I swear. He's been roaming mid the whole time, and he just continues to make these really well-timed movements.
And I think it says a lot that he's found his spot over Sword Art. We saw Weibo kind of toying with the idea of starting Sword Art, but On has just been so spectacular. I'm not surprised that he is the one that's playing more consistently on this roster. Like, good roam in towards mid lane, as Huanfeng's able to catch the wave without any sort of pressure. The second that you want to start moving in onto this bot lane to get these turret plates that Huanfeng is attacking at the moment, On is there. It's just really, really smart play. And yes, you've got Benny roaming with Xiaohao here, but realistically, what's he actually achieving? Whoa, Weibo are getting these advantages on the bot side.
QiuQiu just sitting there. All he can do is right now absorb damage while 2 turret plates already been taken by Weibo Gaming. We're looking what happened here because Betty got caught out, but he didn't have to burn the flash. SofM got knocked up, and yeah, it looks like a close call here from the AD carry of anyone's legend.
Yeah, I mean, SofM's ult being gone is not really going to mean too much. You're still going to have that up before the next objective in 2.5 minutes. You're not looking for, or well, they're going to look for the Rift Herald play on top side to try and match the presence that are on the bot lane. But Xiaohao is here. You've got Forge on the way.
Audacious charge. He wants to start it off. That Crescent Guard is up and available, but a good toss here from TheShy, who has ulti. Anyone's Legend knocked back for now as, excuse me, TheShy without, but under turret. This will be a turn from Anyone's Legend's Forge. Comes in, but Angel with the stolen ulti. The Crescent Guard was amazing. So much better than Xiaohao's, as they're still forced against the turret, losing 4 plates in total in a single fight.
Yeah, I don't think Angel really wanted to end up underneath that tower, though. Shooting himself onto Xiaohao may have caused some issues there for Weibo. Still, though, turret plates do go over towards Weibo, which is kind of the big win for them in that play. And it does mean that TheShy, if he can start to push forward, can actually take this turret for himself. Again, this first item for ZDZ is where this matchup actually changes with the Divine Sunder. But with TheShy already in a good spot, being able to play at range, it's going to be a while before ZDZ can really get control over this lane.
Yeah, his lane doing so well. 20 CS lead, and further to your point, you said before, TheShy was taking priority in names here. ZDZ, once again, trying to get some of the trade backs, but TheShy still continues his comfortability. And Dagda, we talked about this top lane being rearing, ready to go. Like, hey, they had the most solo deaths. And we know that's not just the laning phase, but usually that's where we see a lot of the 50-50s, especially from TheShy. And I'm surprised it's been so quiet when these guys love to kill and they love to die.
Well, here we go. You may get your wish here.
Oh, in the bottom lane, though. But, you know, TheShy's not part of this one, Dagda. I want the top laners to do it.
I mean, look, they're trying their damnedest, but TheShy is getting a decent advantage for himself just from the help that he's been getting from Weibo. But Anyone's Legend still posturing on the spot side. SofM is here, and Betty's, you know, relatively squishy, so you do have to be a little bit careful there.
But look top, that's Demolish. It's going to reset here, but TheShy, as he autos it away, wants the kill onto ZDZ. Asking you shall receive. ZDZ going to hold onto the flash, but TheShy about to go Mega Gnar, the wave under his control. first turret blood will belong to Weibo Gaming. And Dagda, this is not something that we always see with WBG, but I'm glad we are. This is a bit of lane dominance coming through from a couple of good skirmish setup plays.
Yeah, it turns out if TheShy doesn't play Kale, he can actually win lane. Who would have thought it? Who would have put these two together?
Wow.
But I gotta say, I love the way that Weibo are actually supporting him. Even you could see there, Angel leaning towards this top side, just making sure that he was able to spot anyone's legend if they tried to make any sort of play there, even getting some vision control down just to spot if Forge is going to try and realm up there. So, I mean, anyone's legend are Weibo are supporting TheShy well, and a lot of that is actually coming from Angel, who in the past we have criticized for not actually helping out on the map as much as he could.
Was Herald starts. I want to point out that first items are coming across nicely here. Leandri's picked up for Angel. A little bit of an adaptation, Dagda. Remember in 12-10 we saw a lot more of Everfrost. I mean, even before that, let's be real. Everfrost is picked up from Forge though, which you love to see. But Mythic advantage, excuse me, definitely in favor of Weibo Gaming. However, a bit of a win to get second Herald here for AL as they've got a Dragon too. So they're trailing. Might not be there in the gold game, but Mr. Dagderson or Dr. Dagda, as your future wife will call you. I feel like we're at a point where, you know, Weibo Gaming can cruise along, and I want to talk to you again about the mid game, because that's where you said this team will come alive, and we're heading fast towards it.
Yeah, I mean, you can even see it here. Angel's starting to move in. They're looking for us.
Don't get time, do you? Well, he's going to get locked down. The piercing darkness comes through, but QiuQiu trying to escape in time. The ignite ticks him over. The Xiaohao with a re-engage, but Angel's still here. He's a level 11 Sylas with Reset City thanks to the blue buff. It's still the kill for Weibo Gaming. It's their second one of the game, and in this slow pacer, a couple of good picks are setting them up for even more success.
And that's where I feel like Weibo need to try and play this, is trying to pick people off before anyone's legend can actually set up properly, because you do have relatively good setup between Huanfeng with the Curtain Call, the Deadly Flourish, on, as you can just see there, having some great tools, and now Angel looking for one more pick.
He wants to slow, but Forge, he's got the Everfrost to buy a bit of time. Takes the minions with him as well. That's Jerry, that's Ralph, that's Alfred, and that's Peter. But they are all going to die one after the other. And Dagda, that's the harsh reality. People never talk about minions in League of Legends, but they have personalities too. They have lives. No one seems to care about them. As we look at the replay, and maybe we can forget.
Look, this is what we're talking about with the opportunities to look for picks. And I love again that On is kind of constantly holding on to the battle dance before he actually goes for the engage, or sorry, the grand entrance, because he's just waiting for these flashes before he commits. So even though QiuQiu does burn the flash, On is still able to come through. Now I'm looking at another play from SofM, who I thought might have ganked mid, but there are chickens.
No. Yeah, that's right. SofM cannot resist the LPL sponsor. You know, when they get the ads going, I think SofM might be on top of the list as we take them all down, and now he moves up to the top side. TheShy still pushing so aggressively against ZDZ. A 50 CS lead, a Trinity Force, and maybe a dead Jax on the way as he hovers in the outskirts of vision, and ZDZ is about to get a warm surprise as Counter-Strike's used, and that might be the go button. SofM now in the perfect place, the perfect time, and the perfect heartbreaker with the perfect rhyme here for Weibo Gaming's third kill, and again, a great game from SofM to start off the series.
Yeah, anyone's legend now trying to push in mid, but they just don't really have the numbers advantage they need. Rift Herald is here for Xiaohao. They will plonk it down, but Weibo's starting to collapse. SofM is coming from the top side.
Stolen again. The Crescent Guard stolen from Angel. Damage not burning here from Betty. It's a perfect counter as On gets into the backline. Again, 3 people. On actually gets stunned up. So does Angel as the knock up from QiuQiu. Perfect. On only just surviving. And now for Betty and Forge trying to trail this one up. No bueno here from anyone's legend, but that's what they can do, Dagda, if the space is right.
And that's why for anyone's legend, trying to set up as this 4-man front to back is going to work out spectacularly for them if they can set things up. Because as we said, there's not a huge amount of consistent damage on Weibo's side. There's very few people that can really deal with Xiaohao at this moment in time, especially when he's getting the healing coming through from Betty, even the protection that QiuQiu can offer. And traditionally, we don't think as Ryze as this big damage dealer in team fights, but because there's no person on Weibo who's particularly tanky, although SofM does have the random ones, the damage from Ryze is actually going to be quite a bit. So anyone's legend in team fights got to do well, and it's about Weibo trying to very quickly pick one person off before the fight starts, so they're always on an uneven footing.
And I will say it feels pretty hard at this point for anyone's legend. Unless they get a numbers advantage, Dagda, or unless, you're right, you know, the fights go on a bit. Because these fights are bursting out as Forge has the ulti out again. They're 6k gold up. And you can see the item advantage is starting to be a bit obvious. So I feel like at this point, wishful thinking, because anyone's legend now face down of a dragon. And in 30 seconds time, we'll find out if they really feel confident enough to contest.
I feel like they should. You've got the Umbro Glaive already picked up for Betty, which makes it easy to clear out a bunch of these boards. Everfrost and also nearly the Muramana here for Forge, but here we go.
Okay.
Arcane just started.
It's actually coming from anyone's legend. I guess Weibo Gaming aren't the ones who are going to initiate that, and they've gotten priority around the dragon, but the Shy is hard pushing top.
Yeah, and you do just have to be worried about the TP coming in from the Shy, but he has just exhausted himself, so not going to be too much of a threat if he decides to. Now we just got to see how anyone's legend want to approach this.
They're trying for the poke here. It's relying on Betty here. You mentioned the Umbral Glaive, so the damage significant enough as SofM frontlining here at level 11 TP into the backside. The Shy joining in. There is no ZDZ down the line with the center ult. He's great, but Betty is being burnt to a crisp. And the Shy deals the damaging blow. As now ZDZ's here, but is it too late? Well, Angel dying might be a no, as On is trying to escape himself. Gets out with the help of Huanfeng as a reset enabled for SofM. At level 11, Viego, who's feeling a little bit spicy. A good eat up here from Chocho, but anyone's legend now trying to turn it back as SofM gets the smite. Heals up the stun here. The messy play, the Shy still alive. And at the end, Weibo Gaming are the only ones that matter.
And it was so close to anyone's legend being able to turn that, but Weibo Gaming staying as a pack and taking off members of anyone's legend separated. And now, second dragon for Weibo. 8 kills to 1. A 9,000 gold lead for Weibo. They are in so much control of this game, and we'll catch it here in the replay. Just quick TP coming through from the Shy that we talked about. ZDZ doesn't match. It looks like anyone's legend don't catch out this TP, so ZDZ is late. Betty already taken out of the fight before ZDZ arrives. But they have a chance here to turn around. Remember what we said, no real consistent damage here from Weibo, but they split here. ZDZ goes for On, who's already out of the equation, which means the Shy gets a great two-man Gnar onto Forge, onto Xiaohao, and ZDZ now is just out of the equation for this fight as the Shy and SofM chase them down. It does get very close in the weeds here, but just about SofM stays alive with that reset, and from there, they can carry on.
I mean, I was looking at the wrong top lane as ZDZ, where my eyes were, thinking that this Jax starting to make magic happen, but for once in my LPL casting career, I didn't look at the Shy, who did 5.5k damage. Fans get excited. They know the emote to spam. They know exactly what they think of this man when he does well. 006, the agent from the top lane. Dagda, he hasn't died. And, you know, every game I see that for the Shy, I think, wow, he's not a different level today. Okay, someone who's going to die might be Xiaohao, but hang on a minute. Angel with the stolen ulti. It could turn around as Forge joins in. The consistent damage you talked about, Dagda, is going to force Angel to flash away as he absconds and Forge continues to roll forward. The poke from Huanfeng still great, but Weibo Gaming, you're onto something, Dagda. They can't face up against Forge when he's untouched.
Yeah, they still get presence in the mid lane though, still being able to use the long range damage from Huanfeng to dissuade anyone's legends, and that's all that they need here. TP now to keep these minions alive.
Yeah, the wave clear comes through, and now eventually Will is on, takes the damage. Forge once again seems to be the one to watch as Betty also caving in with a bit of damage himself. Anyone's legend keep their inner turret alive with no side wave crashing towards the inhibitor turrets, so the game continues to be a little bit steady, but remember, anyone's legend facing down the barrel of a 10k gold lead, so while it looks defensive here, Dagda, they're still miles ahead from being even with Weibo.
And that's the thing, you're looking at ZDZ, who's a full item behind, is going for more of a teamfight oriented build, not opting in towards things like the Blade of the Ring King or anything like that. He wants to try and play for team fights, but you're still very far behind. You're looking at the Senna, who's only got an item and a bit. She's not really in a position to carry. Like, this is where you're starting to see that as long as Weibo, even though they may not get a kill, if they can brute force anyone's legend away from towers, they can actually just pick up the structure, and that's still a win in their books. And a large portion of that is just coming from that substantial gold lead that Weibo have managed to accumulate.
I just love the brute force comes out from the man in the top lane. To the right of our camera, we just see this Mega Gnar hovering back and forth like he's the warden of a prison. Everyone pays the respect and, you know, tries to... I was going to say, Dagda put some money on the side. That is a bad connotation. I'll never say that again. But at the very least, as Weibo Gaming reset themselves, pick up some more items. We're in 3-item territory here, especially for Huanfeng, who now has himself an LDR and a Randuin's. Excuse me, not Randuin's. Rapid fire, but hey, on. Perfect engage. Huanfeng now joining in, an Angel from the wing as well. He's got a Devour in the back of his mind as Forge now joins in. Double TP from Anyone's Legend. Dagda, we're starting to ramp this game up, and I like that AL are still trying to fight it out.
Again, though, On does burn his flash, but you get both TPs out of Anyone's Legend, which makes it great. Betty, where are you going?
He doesn't have a Tahm Kench near him. He's isolated. And the AD carry of Anyone's Legend may have just thrown this one into the water. Their defense gets harder from now, and as Weibo continue heading on forward, 5 versus 4 for the next 25 seconds, thanks to Betty's blunder.
But why worry about that when you can just go over towards the Baron? You do have to be careful, though, because there is a minute until this Dragon. So Weibo committing towards this Baron will mean they won't be in a position to contest for this Dragon in just a minute's time. Anyone's Legend now trying to move into position to see if they can force Weibo away.
But I'd be scared because TheShy is over the wall with the Mega Gnar bar stacking. They see him with the Boomerang throw. This is about to evolve. The slow, the walk in. I mean, I would not approach this if I'm Anyone's Legend, but as Baron continues to be super slow, Weibo Gaming giving them a bit of time as Angel is still moving forward as well. The 2-man ulti is easily done. TheShy on the top side dealing with 2 members. Well, Weibo Gaming have numbers advantage, but Xiaohao getting flashed over, taken out, and Forge may get the response kill, but AL are still outnumbered here as the collection from Huanfeng begins. The on 3-man knockup. Weibo Gaming in spring and summer have been known as great team fighters, and that narrative remains held true.
The fact that they have this massive gold lead is making things so much easier for Weibo. Consistently being able to get into these fights, absolutely decimate Anyone's Legend. And TheShy, 1v2 finding the kill, so the rest of Weibo can fight that uneven scrap on the bottom side of that. Just means that there's nothing Anyone's Legend can do. They will get the Dragon, as we talked about, but Baron for Weibo, with only inhibitor turrets remain, means that Weibo should be able to crack the base.
Finally, with an 11k gold lead, finally, it should be there. Anyone's Legend getting a bit more stat boost in the meantime, though, as you mentioned with the Dragon, but Dagda, take me through it, because we're all watching TheShy up in the top lane. Take it easy, Gnar ult into 1v2.
But Betty isn't here yet, while TheShy absolutely destroys the top side of this fight. So the thing is, you're still fighting 3v4 on the bottom end of things, and that's what Weibo actually want, is these uneven fights. And usually we're talking about, hey, you want to try and find a pick, make sure you're able to find that fight in that regard. But because TheShy just 1v2s on the top side, you end up with this uneven fight for such a large portion. And by the time the top half of Anyone's Legend actually regroups with the bottom half, the fight's already done, because you've lost 2 members for Anyone's Legend.
And now with Anyone's Legend, as you said before we saw the replay, their base going to be in tatters. It feels like with the Baron here, it is going to be a little bit easier for Weibo Gaming to crash in. But having said that, your condition in Forge seems to be the lifeline that Anyone's Legend are relying on. The Ryze wave clear with 3.5 items, actually quite respectable, Dagda.
It looks like Anyone's Legend try to take a fight before we get to the inhibitor, though. We'll have to see if they can actually find it, but SofM playing very respectful, and you've got the Sylas in the top lane for Angel, so 3 waves across the board all crashing, and Anyone's Legend are crumbling.
Really nice macro coming through here from Weibo Gaming. ZDZ can't hold a candle right now to this Gnar. As Demolish helps out, puts it to half HP. Huanfeng stays around mid. Angel continues to be a nuisance in the top lane. Anyone's Legend are drawn so thin as TheShy goes back into a Mega Gnar state. Headbutts the turret, thinks about the ulti here. ZDZ with a counter-strike. This is only going to buy a bit of time as the waves are still crashing in. And they've got another minute 15 of this Dagda.
Yeah, I mean, this isn't going to survive. You got top lane barely left standing. Weibo have already cracked the mid lane. Bot is just a surefire as soon as TheShy comes through. But, I mean, there is a ward, but I don't know if you can take that fight.
Well, Palpatine would want it. Anyone's Legend, you know, what do? You got to throw everything against the wall. They're losing their base rapidly, and as they get both inhibitor turrets down, the third one on the top side too, inhibitors now exposed. Huanfeng with the Gale Force board. Betty gets crushed under the Jhin auto as now here comes a curtain call. But for Anyone's Legend, we knew the show was over about 10 minutes or so ago. Weibo Gaming now heading on in, Dagda. The waves at their fingertips, and with 5 members this strong, Anyone's Legend just trying to survive.
I don't know if the can, though. Xiaohao goes in.
Yeah, okay, we do get the Dawning Shadow. Xiaohao survives for a little bit longer as Weibo Gaming take a heavy chunk, but TheShy is untouched on the side. On darting away as Huanfeng still pokes him at range, but TheShy is such a nuisance. Not even a Mega Gnar. He's just autoing for the win. Look at him dance around. As QiuQiu and Betty have to escape, Gnar heads back to the turret. TheShy's going to go Mega again. A really concentrated game up in that top side as Mega Gnar back got in. TheShy giving out those vibes once again as Weibo Gaming send us to a 29-minute victory in game 1.
TheShy destroyed this game. Absolutely taken over. But gotta be said, just really solid game across the board here from Weibo on consistently roaming towards the mid lane to put pressure onto Forge. SofM reading the plays coming through from anyone's legend incredibly well too. This just across the board, great performance from Weibo Gaming.
Yeah, it was a clean game. It was a game where SofM was quite concrete as well, I feel. The critical member of Weibo Gaming. It feels like when he's ahead, Weibo Gaming look good. When he's behind, Weibo Gaming look questionable. It was also a really good game from the support. On had a great Rakan game, Dagda. I know you had a lot of questions about how he could play this Rakan, like how we could get out of the laning phase, against this Ryze for Angel. You had some doubts. But On helped that in a massive way, burning flashes, I think, 2 or 3 times in the first 15 minutes.
That's the thing. The ball never really got rolling for anyone's legend because of how well they controlled Forge. I don't think we got to see Forge make a proactive realm warp at all this game. Actually, now that I'm thinking, I was like, oh, maybe in the mid game. But no, I mean, every time we saw him, it was trying to use it defensively to escape away on the bottom side. And a lot of that was because Weibo put so much attention on shutting him down. You don't get the help towards ZDZ in that top side. TheShy is the one that's actually receiving the brunt of that assistance. And from that point forward, Weibo were in a great spot. Like, the team, like, no matter what way compositions are, generally speaking, like in 95% of situations, when you have a 10,000 gold lead, compositions don't really matter anymore. It's just a case of, I hit you so hard that no matter what you do, I win.
The classic slapping them with their wallets. Yeah, it's a brick wall that you run into, and at that point, you just kind of have to give up and try to throw the Hail Marys. And it didn't work out. I mean, I also want to point out that TheShy with his most damage in this game, had such a great landing phase, and it felt like his lane, Angel's lane, Huanfeng's lane, all of them were going so well, and Xiaohao couldn't get in and make a change. It really sucked to be anyone's legend when the whole world's burning and you're sitting there drinking a coffee as Xiaohao going, this is fine.
Especially with how quickly Weibo were like finding those little sparks and picks. They were so good at getting on to roaming towards mid, like jumping onto Huanfeng instantly to get the pick onto QiuQiu. Or when you look at how well they played around Vision in the top side, looking for more picks in that direction that we saw in the mid game. It constantly felt like On was the center of all the picks that kind of snowballed this game to such a lead for Weibo Gaming. So I know that TheShy, obviously most damage, looked absolutely spectacular in team fights, was phenomenal, but I want to give a shout out to On because I feel like he's not going to get an MVP in this game, but he really was such a core part of this victory for Weibo Gaming.
Yeah, he was. I mean, Vision score is always going to be high, but I think that kill participation, the graphic doing him a bit dirty when he's tied first with Angel and SofM.
He's tied on KDA, tied on kill participation, like SofM, Angel, and On, all basically the same across the board.
Oh my god. Doing support's dirty. It's unfortunate you're just at the bottom lane and you have to deal with it. So yeah, you're right. On as a support for Weibo Gaming, always overshadowed by Sword Art. And the funny thing is, Sword Art is on this roster. He played one game, I think it was against RA, one individual game. Yeah. We have not seen Sword Art since. So On is obviously doing better and showing it on stage. I never thought we'd see the world, Dagda, because game 1 was a big story about his Rakan. But 29-minute win. Congratulations, Weibo Gaming. We're going to go